Hello there. Hi, this is Keith Kelly with the We Will Go Ministries. This is a 7-minute podcast, I call it. It's Extreme Faith in Jesus. I am speaking today about a book that I wrote that God has given me, and I believe God's given this to me because I never really consider myself a writer. I'm not a big-time author. I really, I sometimes get a little bit concerned about any kind of typos or that I write or any kind of words like a word like accept. You can spell it EX or you can spell it AC. Sometimes I miss the boat on that. So if you see any typos, which I don't, I've had several people proofread it, but if there are any typos, anything in there, please forgive me. I'm just really trying to express my heart in this book. It's focused on Jesus and not the storm gods. Non-Negotiables to Christians in America. You can pick it up at Amazon, and this it's a simple book. I mean, it's not it's a short read. It's about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, but it's I think it's very important. I mean, so far I have people that my pre-reviewers that have actually read the book, and they all say the same thing. They said this is something that people really need to know and really need to get back to right now. So that's what this book is about, is to enhance or to ignite fire in Christians that might be lukewarm, that I need to ignite a fire in them for they could become on fire, because that's what happened to me. I was managing my wife's music career in gospel music. We had a lot of success, had some great runs, had some disappointments, and just like anything else. But we feel blessed of everything we've been able to do in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And in one particular time, I went to she led worship for a organization in Charlotte, North Carolina. The organization was doing a planning session for African Americans in Missions Conference. That is an organization. It's a NAAMC, a National African Americans Missions Conference, NAAMC. That's the acronym of it. And you can look them up online. They have a conference every year near Baltimore, Maryland. These are missionaries that are African Americans that go. A lot of them go all over the world and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. So they were having a planning session in Charlotte, North Carolina at SIM, that is a sending organization also. I tell people all that you may not know that name, SIM, but you do know, because remember when those doctors got Ebola a few years ago and they came back to the United States, everybody was really concerned about Ebola at the time, and these doctors came back and they went to Charlotte. That's where they went to. They were a part of SIM. SIM was the one that sent those doctors over to Africa. So anyway, we were at that we were at the planning session in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Jackie was leading worship, and one of the pastors got up and talked about a study, talked about an actual class called Perspectives. It was called Perspectives, and so what I did, I went and I took a look at. I went online and I looked up Perspectives. And when I got a hold of Perspectives, I was amazed at what Perspective was. They call themselves like a discipleship type of class. It's about 15 weeks. It's roving all over the United States. It's at one time they might have 10, 20, 30 different classes going on, but it goes into different churches and it talks about, and people sign up for it, and it talks about, and I recommend it. I know, and I recommend it because it probably is at a church close to you right now. If you just look up Perspectives and you look up their website, you'll see where the classes are going on right now. And I recommend the class because it was eye-opening. It really it made me understand how important it is to broaden your horizons. I didn't know that there was 3.5 billion people that never heard about Jesus. Right now. Because they're in closed countries. They're not allowed to preach the gospel in these closed countries. Now some of these countries have what they call house churches. There's an underground movement of Christians that are being involved in some of these countries. Pray for them. Since this is about prayer, and I'm talking about my chapter 2, prayer, pray for those Christians that are in those closed countries that are having house churches. Sometimes they do house churches sometimes at 11:30, 12 midnight because everybody's asleep, and that's when they can actually have a house church. They're not making a bunch of noise. They're talking about Jesus. And some of them are like in Muslim countries that they would get killed or beheaded or lose their jobs, their families, their livelihoods. But they're talking about Jesus. We have to pray for our brothers and sisters that are in closed countries that are really suffering. I mean, we don't really pay attention to them. I mean, because we got our own self troubles. I mean, we trying to make a living, and we trying to get our mansion on this side of eternity. We're concerned about the wrong things, folks. Especially in America, we're concerned about the wrong things. We're concerned about our livelihood of how can we spend our lives in such, splendor and abundance, and there's people that lack. Anyway. So I took this class perspectives, and I learned about some of the things about people that wrote in this book. There's a lot of people that wrote in this book, and there's some phenomenal things about prayer. It's about seeking God, about worship. There's deep, things of people that have some deep thoughts about the different scriptures, and so it made me understand one thing, that, man, I'm out the loop. I'm sitting up here trying to figure out how to, like I say, in the United States, how to get the gospel music and my wife's music out, and I'm not really being concerned about winning souls like I should. So forgive me if this wrong. I feel like Paul. Forgive me. I was wrong. And now I'm on fire for the Lord, and I feel like about winning souls, and I want to walk uprightly. So prayer is the key. So I'll talk a little bit more about this in my next podcast, but this is Keith Kelly, 7-minute podcast, Extreme Faith in Jesus. I'm with We Will Go Ministries. God bless.